You can edit out my tea.
Well, you gotta have something to make you look natural, and that's a very natural thing for you to have.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go away so I'll be quiet.
No, it's not a quiet issue. Part of my mouse thing broke off. I just taped it all up so it wouldn't fall out again.
Nice, nice. I like that.
So, but hey, at least I know which receiver is which because it's like, oh, it's the big green one.
It's the big giant green one.
There you go. Mice now have little smaller.
Yeah, mine's
wireless.
an itty bitty
Itty
baby
bitty.
one. It barely sticks out. It's like kink kink.
Yeah, this is technology from 2009. There
Alright.
you go. They were bigger then.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
I was born September 28th, 1961.
1961. 8 years before the moon landing.
Yes.
There you go. And
But
what-
I did see Neil Armstrong in the parade in Wapakoneta, Ohio, because that's where I lived.
No way.
Yes.
I thought you lived in Dayton. No.
Grandma's from Dayton.
Okay. All right.
So I lived in Caledonia, teeny itty bitty tiny town, more like a crossing, and right next door was Wapakoneta. So
Like-
we went,
One stoplight.
yep,
Yeah. On a
Yep.
farm.
on a farm.
You guys had a lot of dogs, right?
Yeah, we had a lot of dogs. So we had dogs that would be our original dog, and then all kinds of dogs in the country that people drop off out, you know, or they get lost, or I'm not really sure how they just sort of come out in the country. I want to think nice things, but it probably was people dropping them off.
Yeah.
And so then we would have 10 dogs that just adopted us. And we would start feeding them, and we would name them all. And Linda and Janet and I would play with them. And then my dad, who said, you know what, we've had enough of these extra dogs,
How many dogs?
would take everybody that wasn't the original Hall dogs to the SPCA.
Oh. You had your,
Probably about every 6 months.
you had your first generation dog? And then the rest of the dogs?
Yes.
The other dogs?
The other dogs stayed. One dog was allowed, the other ones must go.
Nice.
Very sad.
Well, it's,
Cats too.
at least it took him to the SPCA and didn't like take him out and shoot him or something.
No, SPCA bound.
Okay. Moved to Somerville first, right? You didn't just move to South Carolina to a different part of South Carolina. You moved
No,
to Somerville.
moved to Somerville in high school.
In high school.
Yeah,
And how old were you?
16,
16. Okay.
junior,
Okay. So you moved to Somerville before Dad, after Dad did.
after Dad did.
So he'd been here for a while.
Yes,
Okay. That's right. 'Cause he moved here in '69.
yes.
Okay. What were you listening to? Like when you were in high school? Ask this. I have
In
to
high
ask this.
school, my favorite album was Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboys. Elton
Nice.
John. I knew every word.
Nice.
And when I met your dad, your husband, your dad,
Mm-hmm.
I could not believe that he loved that album too.
Yeah.
It has the most fantastic album cover too. You can look at it for hours.
He's on roller skates, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's very detailed, and the whole thing. I mean, album covers used to be a thing that you would design.
Yeah.
It was a very cool thing
Yeah.
for artists. Anyway, I loved that. And then I was listening to Manfred Mann and Journey. Journey had just come out. Well, probably not, but they probably had been out for a while, but I just started listening to them.
Right.
Was not a southern rock and roll girl, more of a
So you weren't into like the Allman Brothers or anybody?
no.
Journey.
Journey.
It's a favorite Journey song.
Is Wheel in the Sky?
I don't
Journey?
know. I can look it up.
Wheel in the Sky, Keep on Turning.
That is. It is Journey.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. So you were listening to Elton John.
But you want to know what my first concert was?
I was about to ask what your first concert was.
Okay. My first concert was Heart.
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 Nice.
Dog and Butterfly was the song that they came out with. That might have been the album too. It was a fantastic concert. I was super surprised because I really didn't love Heart, but it was the first time that I'd ever seen music live and thought, oh my gosh, I love concerts. They're so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even if it wasn't my favorite album, it was a great concert. Talented artists.
Yeah.
2 women. They were really, really amazing.
We had a cook at the restaurant right after I graduated that was his favorite band.
Really?
Of all time.
Heart?
Yeah, yeah. His name was Joseph. And we'd put on the radio and just the variety station, and every once in a while, they'd be playing classics, and of course would come around to a Heart track. And if we were all out of the kitchen, we could slowly sneak into the kitchen and see Joseph just dancing around the kitchen, frying chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. To Black Velvet, we'd be like getting our phones out and trying to film it. And how'd you meet Gary?
In high school,
Yeah.
just, seeing him.
I got his side of the story.
He was the tallest guy in high school, so I felt like I was very, very tall also. And I thought he was cute. And I can remember what he was wearing the first time I saw him. And I thought, I'd like to date this guy. He seems to be nice, and he's hanging around with nice people, and he wasn't a head or a jock. So I sort of set my sights to date him. He was already dating somebody, but she was a year older, so when she went to college, I just moved in.
Swooped in. Hey!
Hey,
I see your
Gary.
girlfriend is gone.
I see.
It's funny you guys remember what each other were wearing. I have no idea what Caroline was wearing when I met her. None. I'm just...
Well, people dress differently in the South than in the North, and so I was aware that I felt like a fish out of water a little bit. So the fact that guys wore docksides with no socks all the time, year
weird?
round, that was weird to me. Because it's cold up north.
Right.
You always wear socks, and boots probably.
Yeah.
And now they wear flip-flops all the time year round.
Yeah.
Not necessarily docksides.
So you graduated Somerville High School?
Yes.
Okay. Then did you go straight into college, or did you guys move somewhere? Because I remember
No.
you did go for a couple of semesters, right?
My parents moved to Ohio. Janet and Linda.
Back to Ohio.
Back to Ohio.
Okay.
And I stayed. I had one year at Trident Tech.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was making my college decision, Trident Tech decision, I knew my parents were going to move. They were
Mm-hmm.
trying to sell the house. They were trying to find a new place. And so I made a decision to get educated in a way that would allow me to get a job as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And I went to Trident Tech in engineering.
Okay.
Architecture, actually. It was architectural engineering. I already had 1 year under my belt when they actually moved, so I stayed here and lived with 3 or 4 different people, including Meemaw, during that year. Whoever would let me live with them. It was kind of like house surfing. I stayed at somebody's house for about 3 months, 4 months here, 3 months here, a couple weeks, until I finally graduated and got an apartment and shared the apartment with Aunt Linda.
Mm.
Then I started taking night classes at the Citadel, and Dad graduated, and we got married. And then by that time, I had worked at the Naval Shipyard for about 5 or 6 years and decided that I would like to go back to Columbia and finish and get my engineering degree. So we moved to Columbia, and I got probably 3 or 4 more semesters done. And then Dad bought the business that he had, Trident Home Care, and we moved back to Somerville.
Nice. Can we go back to the shipyard for a second? Because I remember you having a really cool job there.
It was a very fun job.
Yeah.
It was in the architectural, naval architectural department, and that ends up to be structural.
Right.
And we worked on the submarines and the surface ships, but I worked in the submarine section. And they would do installations of new equipment to upgrade all kinds of ships. And when the ship would come into port around the world, we would travel and then go to the ship that we were actually going to do these new installations on and measure and refit and try to figure out how it was going to happen best, because every sub is individual.
Slightly different. Yeah.
Slightly different. They've installed equipment in different places that is not per plan,
Right.
for some reason. And so you go to the submarine where it is and figure out your plan, and then when it comes into dry dock, you can be as efficient as possible. That's the theory.
Yeah.
So that you know what you're doing and you get the
Yeah.
right equipment and it matches up and it can be installed, and so that's the structural part of it. And one of the just side things that I did was, this is the part I like to tell, is that zinc anode bars are all around the hull of the submarine. And just like in any kind of boat in the harbor, right around the propeller, they put little zinc bars because zinc will corrode before steel corrodes. And that's just an indicator. It indicates that if you don't have the zinc there, it's going to start on your engine, or it's
Right.
going to start on your propeller, it's going to start on your hull if it's a big submarine.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these zincs around, and if they're more than 75% deteriorated, then you replace them. So when they would come in dry dock, we would go inside the hull and climb all the way around the sub.
Yeah.
Inside, in the bottom, and like all the way in spaces that sometimes were 18 inches, sometimes 3 feet, with a hard hat and a flashlight and a drawing, and figure out which zincs needed to be.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know,
It was fun. I loved
That
it.
makes my hands sweat because I'm not a fan of tight spaces, and so I'm just sitting here like, I wouldn't do it.
It was fun.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
I liked it. Well, I liked it because it was challenging, and there were a lot of people that couldn't do it,
Yeah.
and I could. I don't
Yeah.
have that fear of claustrophobia, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah,
And it was
no.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah, different than drawing.
that's crazy. You've had a lot of jobs. That's something that's unique about you. You've held a lot of different positions.
Different kind of jobs. I
What was
sure
your,
have.
what was your favorite one? We're unique in that respect because I've held a lot of weird jobs too.
Yeah. I am artistic at the same time I am super organized.
Yeah.
I'm really gifted at organization and administration and visioning and thinking about things ahead before they happen, so I like to plan things. But I also am artistic, and so I have really enjoyed doing things like quilting and sewing, mostly quilting probably. But see, it's sort of an engineering kind of a job. If you take quilting, it's
Yeah.
pretty exact.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
pretty
of geometry.
organized, and it's pretty planned out. And the giftedness is where you can balance color, and the art, the artistic part of me comes out in that way. So one of my favorite jobs I had was working at a quilt shop. It was inspiring to see the number of people that would come in and their designs. It just inspired me to do more quilts.
But you've done a quilt for each one of us. One for Parks, one for Grace, one for me. Mm-hmm. And
I did two for Mary Grace because I had time to make one for her college dorm. So it's up in the mountain house now.
have I seen that one?
It's splashy colors, and it looks like paint blotches.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah,
I'll look for it.
it's up in the mountain house.
Okay.
It's an extra long because it's supposed to be for a college
Right.
dorm, so it's up there on one of those extra long singles we got up there.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And I've made, last year, I made 6 quilts when I was working for the quilt shop. I just went crazy for quilting.
Quilty.
It was just so much fun. It just fueled the artistic side in me.
Grandma Joyce quilt or her mom or anybody, or is that just a you
My
thing?
grandmother, Eva,
Okay.
sewed a
Okay.
lot. She did a lot of creative things. She owned a farm, and she used whatever she could to do what she needed to do. So she would hook rugs, and she sewed all their clothes, and she made patchwork quilt skirts for us one year when she came to visit. She would come every summer and stay with us. And I remember, my mother sewed also, so I just remember both of them enjoying sewing. And I just learned how to sew.
There you go.
So then taking it from there, I smocked dresses. And
I remember that with Gracie when she was, yeah.
Yeah, and made quilts after that. Quilting has been my favorite.
What is smocking harder than quilting, or is quilting harder than smocking?
Quilting's harder.
Yeah. Why?
It takes longer, and so it takes longer to stay focused on one project. I have a tendency to start things and not go back. But that's okay with quilting. So there's lots of forgiveness and grace in quilting too. That's what's a wonderful thing about it. You can start something, and then you can go to the next thing, and everybody that quilts thinks that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And it's just a longer project, so I guess it's harder to stay focused. Smocking is a whole different set. It's needlework, and so it was very fast.
There's kind of a weird respectful thing about music with that too. So if you're with a bunch of musicians and everybody's talking about what they're working on, if you say something like, I'm picking this project up that I started back in high school. People go, oh, like
know. Yeah.
like a fine wine, like it's been aged.
Yeah, yeah.
The idea's been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it is with quilting too.
That's
I
funny.
started this when my daughter was a baby.
Oh.
You're finishing it? Yes.
She's
yes.
going to college. Oh.
I know. It's true. This one took me 6 years because I dabbled in it. I understand.
Yeah, I get
understand.
that.
I totally get it.
So that's unique with this project I started with the 365 stuff. It's the first project that I've intentionally set date parameters on. That's a lie.
Okay.
So the first project I ever set a date parameter on was the project that I am finishing this month. And that was last year. I looked at Caroline and said, I'm going to write 3 albums this year, and they're going to be a trilogy, and they're all going to come out this year.
Okay. Okay.
so-
So this is good.
Doing a plug. W Part 3 coming soon. Harder date parameters.
Yes, it does.
Meaning that I said it'll start on August 20th and it will end on August 19th the following year.
Yeah.
What's your project now? What are you working on
Yes.
now?
In a year, and I am giving myself a moderate deadline.
Okay.
Because I would like to practice moderation in my life.
Okay.
I would like to be able to have a hobby that does not consume me, because I have a job that consumes me. So my other goal would be to have a little bit more of a balanced life with my job, that it doesn't consume me. And so I have a goal of making 1 quilt this year. It will not be hand quilted by me. So the difference is the process of a quilt is to make the quilt top.
Right.
And then to put the batting and the bottom fabric, which makes it puffy and
Right.
yummy. I will not quilt it because I just don't enjoy that part of the process. So I'll have somebody else quilt it, machine quilt it, and then it'll be done.